Hey, ladies and gentlemen, the Round Lake Village Board of Trustees meeting of August 21st is called to order. Please rise for the pledge. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. First order of business is to open the continuation of the public hearing. That's the proper wording. On RV1, if anybody has any comments, insights, wisdom to share. Here it is. On the RV1 residential zoning changes.
Where's RV1?
Pardon?
Where's RV1?
Pretty much the outer ring of the village.
Across the street.
Any board members have any comments on it?
Just to Steve, that whole meadow and parcel just to the north of your place, about 27 acres, 30 acres. Includes the slopes down where all the trees are, down to the trail and to the bypass and to, you know.
Yeah.
Oh.
Down by where you, it's by where you,
Yeah, across the street from me.
yeah, and the other RV1 is up the other end of the bypass.
Yeah.
And then down the Washington Avenue.
Thank you.
Pretty much it.
Oh, Mr. Finkel.
If, this basically just says you can't have a two-family home with just a building permit, right?
Correct.
If you decide that you
I
want a
believe.
two-family home, you can go in front of the planning board or zoning board or the other, and
Believe it's planning board.
Zoning board.
Zoning Board of Appeals first, and then you probably have to go to
Yeah.
planning.
but you could do it.
Oh, yeah. You could come in here to do, you're just talking about a house or two.
I'm just saying, if you want to build
Yeah.
a duplex instead of just a single family.
You could also come in here and ask the village board to circumvent all the other codes and do a planned development district or PDDs.
Yeah.
And.
So there is a way around it.
Yes,
This is just
absolutely.
more or less.
Not
making it so that it's not as-
absolute. Yeah.
as easy to do.
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah.
Anyone else? Hearing nothing else? Oh, close the hearing.
Well, exactly, before you close, what are you changing? What did you change?
It primarily it's what Jim just mentioned. And jump in if I'm missing anything, but changing the permitted uses right now of right are residential, single family or duplex, one or two unit building, and it changing it by right to single family dwellings. And is anything else in there?
The others are just so minor, I think we toughened up the back end of it on trees and removing trees and wetlands. I don't think that was in the original one. I think that's right at the end, towards the end of it. I mean, you can't, we're saying you can't disturb wetlands.
Yeah, this was sent out in last month's board packet. I forgot to send it out again this week. I should have. But
You want the minutes from that?
no.
Mhm.
Oh, yeah. Item C, wetland protection. All vegetation, including trees, may not be cut or otherwise disturbed in federally identified, state identified, or any other identified wetlands in the RV1 zone.
Can I ask a question about that?
Hmm?
Can I ask a question about the wetlands?
Yes.
Can it be, as long as they, I mean, I know a lot of developers come in, can they actually shift the amount of wetlands? Are we saying that you can't do anything to disrupt it at all?
What do you mean shift? the amount?
I know a lot of land, you can have a certain percentage of wetlands on the property, so if there's wetlands all the way across, so take for instance, Griffin's Ridge. When you used to come into where they came in, where their entrance is, was all wetlands, they
Mhm.
just shifted the wetlands over to make the entrance way. Can they do that? Still?
Did they shift or just put a culvert in?
I think they.
They shifted.
Did they?
What you do is you take other lands that you have and dedicate them that way, and that way you can access your property through a wetland.
Right.
But you have to put up other land to.
Basically, what they're saying is you can't take that percentage of wetlands out of that piece of property or.
The state or the feds require wetland mitigation sometimes, that's the replacement, so if you're covering a quarter of an acre, for example. Here, when they say, okay, when you create it.
Got you.
That way.
But that can still be done.
But that was a PDD also.
Yeah,
That's- That's not,
Yeah,
or that's
which.
outside, way outside. We go for RV1.
Gotcha. Okay. thank you.
Okay, have a motion here to whereas the village board of, close the meeting first. The public hearing closed at 6:40. And opening the regular meeting. Let me do it right now or I'll forget it. Whereas the village board of the village of Round Lake proposes to amend chapter 18-13. Or section 18-13 of chapter 180 regarding permitted and special permitted uses with the RV1 zone. And whereas the Board of Trustees of the Village of Round Lake has designated itself lead agency pursuant to the State Environmental Quality Review Act. And whereas the Saratoga County Planning Board has reviewed and approved the proposed amendment. And whereas public hearings on the proposed amendment were held July 17th, 2024 and August 21st, 2024. At which time all persons desiring to be heard were in fact heard. Now therefore it is resolved that the Board of Trustees of the Village of Round Lake adopts the proposed amendment and directs the town clerk to file the amendment with the New York State Secretary of State. Do I have a second?
Second.
Discussion? Tom?
Yes.
Jason?
Yes.
Eric?
Yes.
Me? Yes. Okay, thank you. That feels good, doesn't it? Dropping that on. Public hearing, public comment. All righty. Reports, superintendent.
Yeah. Can I ask a public comment?
Oh, sure.
Flagpole light and the receptacles. What's that?
That is on me, we're waiting, Danny Cummings was, he was having some health issues, I haven't talked to him in a couple of weeks, so I'll get back to him. And if he's not up to it, we'll get another contractor. But he's been with us a long time, so I'm just letting him go through this, and I know it's been a while, we're waiting, we're hoping. Well, everything's done.
So it hasn't been forgotten.
Well, it has, and he was, like I said, having some issues in their health, and then for the last 3 weeks, that's been on me, I've been doing other things that I have not been doing.
Yeah.
Mr. Finkel?
While he's here, that light sensor on that light out there doesn't work, so that light stays on 24/7.
All right,
That's an easy fix. That-
Yeah, I wasn't even aware.
Yeah, that light stays.
Which one, the one on the back porch?
Yeah, right here, no.
All right, moving on from public comment to reports, superintendent.
Yeah, everything's going well, as far as up at the pump house and fill everybody in, this has been ongoing, we're still waiting on display for our meter for. Victoria Landings, I got a text from John Lappuccino a few days ago, he's still in contact with Honeywell, they pushed the date back. Seem to be having issues with, no matter what it is, getting parts and pieces for any piece of equipment. Any working meters, everything, so we're waiting on that, hopefully next month I gotta talk to I believe it's Stelson.
Stilson?
Electrician, the blower and the sprayer on the water tower, we're having issues with both. Besides that, the water, everything's been good. So just things we've been doing, we've had them all in, we're doing drains, working with them, doing a little jetting, cammering, on the drains.
The Sunny Playground has a tendency to flood in heavy rains. So the guys cleaned out the drain today and it was filled with sticks. Little urchins running around throwing sticks down there. It's
Yeah,
a mountain
quite
of
the-
sticks and twigs.
And like I said, we're cameraing and we gotta get in there more, but there's a possibility, there may be a section there, we may be digging. Just to let you know, I don't, positive yet, we have the camera in there, but we're gonna have to jet it a little further and see if what I thought I saw, I indeed did see, which was a broken section. We pulled back a piece of clay tile, but sometimes that's not unusual. Work years ago, and things of pieces of debris being washed down, but we did put some of that back, and so I do have a concern there. You know, just have to consider it further, and if there is a break, we'll address it, but yeah, that has nothing to do with that, for the kids. It sticks, lots of.
So if you see kids running around with sticks, tell them not to put them in the drain.
Enough sticks to plug up even the sweeper, the back truck.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they cause quite the mess. But it's not the first time, actually.
So that's what you guys are doing, my garage, is there?
By the playground, yes.
So it's just that.
There's a tree, there's a great big tree right there. It's just a tree on six.
No, no.
Length of these are purposely put in, they're just kids.
Really?
Yeah. you can
Yeah,
tell.
there were a couple kids who used to live here who always had sticks in their hands. I didn't either, but
Yeah, then you get enough of them in there and then you get a heavy rain and they get stirred up and,
Stupid darn this thing.
yeah.
I keep saying we need to train the kids around like that.
Are you intending
I
not to
know
have that
from
on?
experience.
Are you intending not to have that on cameras?
attending,
Are you intending not to have your
Yeah, it's
cameras
not
on to
new, I mean,
record
it's
this
sometimes
meeting?
it is on.
It is on?
Yeah.
Okay.
It should be.
In there.
All right,
Said it was recording.
okay, it's just in the background.
That
Got it.
one is too, I think. Okay. Anything else? Yeah.
No, getting prepped, we're getting hauling in rubble and so forth, on the agenda for getting paid this year would be Ames, James Ave, Foster Ave, and a portion of East Cole. We did drain work down there on Ames, and those roads. we
Pretty chopped
avoided
up.
Paving until we had that drain work completed, which it is. No, that's really it. We're just going through. We're still waiting on our new truck. Gonna go get pricing on the new F-350. We're due for a new small truck.
Okay, treasurer.
We've got several items today. Item number one, the software installation gap update. Last meeting, it was reported that we had a meeting with Edmunds, our IT folks, and CHS, our accountants, where we were able to clear up a few numbers for Edmunds. They were hoping to finish addressing the software. They're hoping to finish addressing the software update this month. The update is that Edmunds has finished. Edmunds and CHS have finished the 22-23 AFR, excuse me. And CHS is now conducting the fiscal year 23-24 monthly reconciliations, so cash flow progress. A second employee has opted out of participating in the village health insurance program and is entitled to an insurance opt-out payment of like about $57 a week. Turns out to be about $3,000 a year. Currently, the code from which we pay or make this payment is only funded for one employee. So a resolution is requested to fund the account for the second employee for the remainder of the fiscal year. Increasing a 9060.8 hospital medical insurance code by $2,600 and decreasing a 5990 the UFB account by $2,600. Item number three, the village maintains perpetual accounts for major engineering projects such as Griffin's Ridge, Victoria's Landing, and the mill expansion. So once these accounts are funded, it rolls over year to year. These accounts require yearly maintenance. They don't automatically roll and balancing. And since losing our CPA in April 23, these accounts have been neglected. So I'm now bringing these accounts into balance. And I'm requesting a resolution to transfer funds back to the mill engineering account, which had defaulted into the general account at the end of fiscal year 2022. Is that? You look like you have a question, Mr. Eric?
But these are,
I'm just thinking about it.
Okay,
these are funds that, for example, the owner of the mill will
Right.
be paying to the village, and we just kind of transfer it into
Yeah.
this, so.
at the end of the fiscal year, it defaults into our general fund, and if we don't make the effort to actually put it back into their funds, stays in our general account, and their fund ends up at zero. It's their money.
So these engineering accounts aren't taxpayer money,
They're not taxpayer money. I am asking to increase a 144045 engineer mill by $6,507, decreasing a 5990 UFB account by the same amount.
Okay, so now I have a question, clarification.
Yeah.
The mill pays us.
Right.
6507. Then it defaulted back into our general fund. But it's still their money, so we need to put it back into the fund because it's the.
That's right.
Yes, got it.
Item number 4, Carpe Diem made an agreement with the village to pay for electrical work done in the auditorium. They wrote a check to the village, which was deposited to an auditorium revenue account. And a resolution is requested to move these funds from the revenue account to an expense account to make those payments. So we're requesting to increase code A 75.40, auditorium contractual by $1,500, decreasing A 2090, culture and rec performers, where the money was deposited by the same amount. Number 5, higher than anticipated workers' comp premiums cause an over-encumbrance in the line item dedicated to that expense. The resolution is requested to move funds to zero out the account for the rest of the year. We've already made a one-time payment for our workers' comp, and it overdrew that workers' comp account. So we're looking to put a little more money in, just to zero it out. That would, so the resolution would be to increase code A 9040.8 workers' comp by $1,564.71. Decreasing a 5990 UFB account at the same amount. These are two-sided this month. On the back, number 6, last month I made a clerical error that resulted in the misreporting of the July abstract totals. What happened was, as POs are created, I can either classify them as accepted, or which means I can pay them right away. I can classify them as received, which puts them in a little placeholder that I'm able to run reports on, or I can classify them as held, which keeps them safe from editing until a later date. And in this case, $26,000 bill, I think for the ramp, was classified as held. So when I went through to run the report for the totals for the abstract, that $26,000 was left out. However, you did last month see the PO and the supporting documents, and everyone signed it, so it just wasn't included in the total. And the diagrams below, the charts below show that $26,000 difference under the A fund claims.
So the money's there, it just wasn't. It's not costing anything more. It's just.
No, no, not at all.
Motion to accept?
Can we do them all?
Yes, I think so.
I make a motion. We do all 6 plus the correction from the July abstract. And I guess, should we say what the totals are for the abstract for August?
Yeah, it's in the resolution.
Oh, okay.
And for August, we do that later.
So I'll move those other items.
Second.
Discussion? Huh? Jason?
Yes.
Eric?
Yes.
Yes. Okay, thank you. Chief?
Evening, folks. We have 46 calls for the month. 54 year to date, so we're still about 10% from last year.
Overall, we have about 700 man hours in for training, department events, outside training classes by membership. Just recently completed an ISO audit, so the insurance services offices come in and give us a rating on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being your self-fire protection, 1 being the best that you can get. Our previous rating was done in 2016, and we were 4. So what that means to you folks is that actually it can contribute to what you guys pay for insurance. Okay? So the lower the rating, the better possibility that your insurance will get a break, right? Residential and commercial. There's a drill in the village on the Zim Smith, gonna be next week on Tuesday morning and on Thursday evening. So we'll have some training signs up. We're doing a trail rescue drill. So we'll have the Argo and some folks out there on the trail. And August 28th, Wednesday, I believe, is Pastor Chief Severs is doing the Round Lake lecture series on the history of the fire department in the auditorium. So I know we're expecting a good turnout from the fire department and hopefully they go as well. So, well, thank you.
Thanks, Chief.
Dates that you situated?
Tuesday, the 27th, and Thursday, the 29th.
In the morning.
Tuesday will be in the morning, they go out at 8:30ish, so they'll probably hit the trail about 9, and Thursday evening we'll be out there about 7. And we'll put some portable signage up this stuff, also on the trail.
Thank you.
Thank you. Code enforcement, Peter.
Try to finish off Griffin's Ridge. In other words, try to get a sign off on the stormwater in Griffin's Ridge. That's the last item we're dealing with. And that's one of the reasons why I asked Peter Belmonte for $5,000 to pay our engineer for additional engineering fees and having a look at it, working with Blue Niles, Cornell Cooperative Extension. Trying to get that project finished, but it appears that it's going to drag on until next spring. I get the sense that there's a lot to do there. It's not going to get it all done by winter. Also, the village, there's a new format for the village stormwater report that's due to DEC every year. So again, I'm working with Blue Niles and Cornell to try to work through what the changes are for the village to do that. And actually, it's been a very surprising number of new building permits, everything from basements to decks to porches to garages and decks and sheds. So a lot of work going on in the village. And really, that's about it. The village. We got some new drawings. I don't know if you want to talk about this now or later on the bell tower.
And we can talk about it now.
Okay. We got some drawings from for the bell tower. I hope everybody looked at them. I spoke to them, and if there's still to tweak them more, I mean, it's not written in stone. These are the actual drawings. If you want to make some changes, we can make changes. They still plan on doing this in September, October. They'll be on target to come in and do this work. I think the next step for us is if we approve these things, then we send them another check for more payment, and then the final check comes when they're finished with the work. So that's where we are with the bell tower.
Now they're assembling it.
You're putting
There
it in
and-
Pennsylvania and shipping it here.
No.
No, I don't think they'll do one. I don't know. I think the big part is trying to get the existing bell tower that's still in the building, taking that out. Everything has to come out of the old bell tower. And there's some work there to do because I think one of the legs of the existing bell tower is tilted in and causing problems. So they're aware of that and trying to rectify the fact that structurally it was affecting the whole auditorium.
So. What's the auditorium schedule for September and October? Probably have to be. If they're gonna assemble it, it's gonna take them. How long? And there's events going on in the auditorium. The Halloween stuff, which goes into the actual stuff, so. We have this time. How long will it take our window start?
We could, my feeling is, we could try to arrange that around the village schedule at the auditorium, their start date.
We could probably give them some dates that they can't do work on site.
Okay, that would be,
Or dates that, like, a window, say for Halloween, we want, clear access with no construction debris from X date to X date because of the haunted house and,
of course,
other village events.
of
Or
course,
we just need to plan that stuff around it.
yeah.
And I'm not, so.
And another issue is what do we do with the old one that's sitting out there on the lawn? The only thing they're gonna take is the bell out of it and the point off the top. And, I don't know what happens with the rest of it.
Auction it off.
Dispose of it, shouldn't they? Is that not part of their contract?
Well, I'm sure it could be, you know, but everybody that I talk to says, oh, we have to put that over on Road Park, or we have to put it over here. So it's something for you guys.
John might
to
have
think
some thoughts on that. We'll figure something out.
I have a couple of pieces. I mean, there's a couple pieces of also like stuff on, you might be able to like auction those off.
Yeah.
Or 83 or even people might want. Which basically means take a chainsaw to it and then.
Right.
Or as I mentioned last night at the planning board, put a sign free on it. Put it in front of it.
One more.
It's possible.
I'm looking to see if anybody from Griffin's Ridge is here. I suggested that you put it down in Griffin's.
Ah, nice. Okay, thank you. Auditorium, I have Sharon's report. Been a busy month so far at the Round Lake Auditorium. Carpe Diem loadout was a success. The load in of all the books for markets was a success. So the transition went well and everyone involved was cooperative and pleased. Many thanks to Phyllis Wildberger for getting everything cleaned out by working around everyone. The auditorium event outside of the auditorium was a great success this season. One, we were actually outside on the Comish's beautiful front porch and lawn, and the tent on the village green was just lovely. The musicians were a delight and played beautifully. The tapas under the tent was a great success. And it was wonderful to see some friends and meet new friends. Hats off to the people who volunteered. They were all great. Thanks also to DPW for all their help. The Carpe Diem finished with their series of performances. Market's book sale was in the auditorium for the next 6 days. The organ was tuned this month. 3 tours and teas took place. Chamber music concert happened. Master classes, the a cappella group Noise of Summer performed 2 days ago, and a lecture about a CIA operative and a family in Vietnam is happening right now, which is where Sharon is. Still to come this month, an open mic, an organ recital, a lecture presentation about the Round Lake Firehouse featuring Fred Sievers, and a Shakespearean moment of Midsummer Madness. Hope to see you all there. Thank you, Sharon. And AP3.
Yes. AP3, we put a down payment on the work that's gonna be done on the walkway in the back of the organ. That's been sent out to them. I have no idea when they're gonna get to it, knowing Andover, it's probably gonna be a while before they. It took them 3 years to build a bench. I don't know how long it's not gonna do this. Yeah, I'll keep you up to date on when they're gonna be in there. And everything is set up for barbecue. We're gonna have a barbecue on September 21st with a rain date on the 22nd down at the ball field. I'm hoping to have the tents put up down there, the village tents. And I know where I want to put them if somebody will slow down. Show them where to put them down there.
They need 1 or 2.
Both of them would be great.
Oh.
Yeah. Both.
Is it, we getting built or anything for the work on the lot side? Yeah. Are you guys just getting those?
Yeah, we're getting work proceeding. Right, we're taking care of
You really like those tents.
Yes. Right, so the barbecue is actually gonna be a combination of Rhythms of Round Lake, which is an event that was held on Sunday last year, so it's all Round Lake talent. And, along with that, we have, we'll probably have some basket raffles, some raffles going on to the next money. The tickets will be $20 a piece. We will be offering half chicken dinner with potatoes and coleslaw, and a vegetarian, we're gonna have a rotellini. So the eggplant rotellini, we do the vegetarian,
Stuff.
and you get your dessert and drinks are all included.
And it's from the dugout, if you are familiar with the dugout. It's, what is it, doesn't?
Colin,
Gallo.
It's in Galway.
Yes.
doesn't Colin have something to do with that?
It's
Yes.
Colin's friends, actually, Will Roy, his friends, so.
Can I just mention that they were there today working on the organ?
They were working on an organ, or they?
They're tuning,
Tuning.
practicing.
Yeah.
I don't know if they're not
It's
doing the
practice.
scaffolding.
No, they were.
Okay.
Yeah,
Right.
that's it.
It's Tom. Tom was in. Practicing.
Yeah, they had somebody, yeah, that's right, they had, Craig Williams, I think it was,
Is it Tom Dressel?
I think it's Craig Williams today.
Yeah,
Oh.
somebody.
Yeah.
He was in through the day,
Yes.
and he's here, I guess he's playing. this
He's
weekend.
playing Sunday, yeah.
Okay.
That's it.
That's it?
Yep.
Thank you. Clerk.
Couple of things coming up on the clerk report, but I see Oz here and I know he wanted to speak, so I'm gonna let him do that at another time, so I'm skipping past this. Also was made aware of a New York Wildlife Crossing Act, and Heidi's here, so Heidi's gonna speak about that one. And so I'm gonna go back to a phone call that we received back in January from the woman who was looking to obtain copies of theater productions from the nineties. Well, those VHS tapes have been converted to current media, and we're looking for ways of putting them on the website. But so 4 of them were done, and hopefully being able to convert the other VHSs into something that is more useful. And we thank Dan Petzka for all of his efforts to house them, keep them, take the videos, and then have them converted. And let's see, and then historian and APP president Scott Rigney has landed an office upstairs next to Tom Peterson, giving him space to organize the historic documents and pictures, as well as the ability to scan and organize. Thank you, Scott, for taking this on. Food pantry donations.
How do you like it?
Food pantry, we're doing donations through, the fort. And donations will be taken to the Jonesville Methodist Church Food Pantry. And there's a list of items out by the basket of items that are being requested.
Okay, thank you. Under old business, the ramp, as you will notice, has been completed, and I would like to thank Peter for shepherding this project through. He and Susan and Eric did all the work on getting this done and working with Johnny too, so thank you all for getting that done. I think it came out quite nicely. And next is the Crown Castle cell tower buyout proposal. We received a proposal possibly last year, offering to buy out our current cell tower lease. And so Mr. Peterson did a whole lot of research and working on it. And the Everest one is the latest proposal, Tom?
This is the first actual and only proposal for the buyout. They needed certain information, which Crown Castle provided to us.
So for, gosh, the last 30 years or so, we have received, is it about 30 years, Dixie, do you remember? 30 years or so, we have received a certain amount of money, increasing every year from Crown Castle. It's currently up to roughly 80,000, 75 to 80,000, roughly ballpark, every year, which goes into the Parkland Fund, which is the use of which is restricted to purchasing new parkland or capital improvements on designated parklands. So essentially, what the board has to decide is, are we happy with keeping the current arrangement, which is a secure, guaranteed amount for the next 20 years or so? I don't recall. What is this for? Our,
The lease,
yeah,
I think the lease was for 30 years, and the buyout looks like they're trying to do it.
right, but our current lease,
Oh,
our new
well, it's
lease?
20, I thought it was 20 years, and I think it's going to 30. Is that right, Tom?
going
lease.
forward, what is the
Going
lease?
forward, is that a 30-year lease?
If we renew with Crown Castle,
Renewing with Crown? If we're renewing with Crown,
I
it's for
think that
30 years.
takes us up to,
20 years?
It's about 20 years.
Is it? Okay.
like
Yeah,
2048, sticks in my mind. This provides, if you look at paragraph 3, Everest will be granted a 55-year easement in the property. Well, I'm not sure, we don't have it in our power to grant a 55-year lease because the legislation that we have only takes us to 2055.
Mhm.
And so I think that's simply a typo.
So what is the feelings of the board on this?
And in the conversation the day before I received this, the Everest representative said, we should have seen this before, but we noticed that Crown Castle has the right of first refusal for any buyout requests. So we understand that if you accept this, that Crown Castle will probably step in and exercise its right of first refusal.
Personally, I'm very risk averse. I hate gambling. I'm very risk averse. I'm very boring, but I much prefer sticking to the sure thing. That's just my personal feelings, and could be argued out of it. Just wondering,
Just the lease.
which is keeping the current lease would
Yeah,
be
the
my
same way.
first inclination.
when I look at the numbers and they're really offering you 20 years worth of revenue. They're looking for a longer lease of the property. It's a gamble against where the technology goes. I would assume that these cell towers are not going anywhere anytime soon.
I thought 5G would be their demise, but apparently not.
And so do you wanna, you're getting $7,500 a month for this. It's free money. Yeah, how long will it last? And then what do you do with the money you got? They're gonna give you for it. We'd have to sit down and decide if is that all parkland money then?
Yes, so we'll have the same
It
restrictions.
would have to say restrictions. So we'd be.
The danger is we allow it to burn a hole in our pocket.
Yes.
And say, oh, we can
absolutely.
have a new,
Turn it around like it's a Disneyland. But I get it. Can we earn money on that? If they gave us $1.7 million, all right? Where can we put that? Can we earn money?
that will go into the line item that we now have, which is restricted to acquisition of parkland under capital improvements to parkland.
Yeah, we could.
And any interest that we would earn on that would necessarily stay within that fund.
But I don't think we could buy Bitcoin with it or something.
Right.
So,
Yeah, I think it would be, I think Matt was saying last time this came up that if you put it into like high interest savings account, I think he said it would be something like $60,000 a year in interest.
Hmm.
So it's something.
I mean, that's, if it was that, if you could make that much money on it, certainly would be worth selling. If you took the money and stuffed it in the lockbox for a few years, you'd be back to way over what lost or think you might have lost. It's a tough call.
We get these offers just about every
I know,
year, so
every
it's
year,
not.
yeah.
So maybe we should, at least this year, see what the options are for investing. 'Cause I don't think municipalities can put funds in high risk
No.
ventures, but I'm not sure what the regulations governing
And
that
how
are.
fluid would the money be? If you, let's say a parcel of land came up, it was a nice, something we would like, and it was $1 million. Could you tap into that without threatening your interest or some type of special penalty thing?
Yeah, there's $1 million of work to be done, you know.
Yeah,
Yeah.
minimum.
We don't have anybody. Huh? Yes.
Speak up,
We don't
please.
have a financial planner that he's associated with. We do not. I mean, that might be something to consider for maybe a variety of reasons. I don't know, it occurred to me that if somebody way smarter than me could sit down and build out a series of scenarios that would give us a better sense rather than us.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, it'd be nice to be presented with if you take this lump sum, you can do X, Y, and Z with it and put it in these funds, and this is what you make
Right.
yearly from interest instead of just going off of a guess.
And related to that, even that, but we're getting more sophisticated. If we wanted to work on the auditorium and we wanted to take matching funds from something, if we had $1 million, can we therefore get matching funds because we have $1 million? Or, there's different scenarios that once you have a bucket of money, you can leverage it in different ways that may be more useful than giving them, $60,000. And I have zero idea.
But the 80,000 is usually increases. I don't remember when it started, Dixie, but I don't know what we were getting. I remember years back we were getting 5,000 or
Monthly?
monthly.
No, we started out, I think, somewhere around the 900 figure a month, and then it moved
Oh,
out.
yeah.
Now we're getting 151, 45.
68 a month,
How much?
68,
68?
6,800 a month, about 82,000 a year.
Right. I mean, it's always been, something that I think that, you've got to think very seriously
Yeah,
about.
I agree.
And first of all, 55-year lease, I think, is unbelievable.
So
We'd have to go back before the legislature before that anyways, so.
we.
We have to go before the state legislature, right now? You have to go before the state legislature?
Yes, and we've just done that, and we have the extension up until, I believe, 2055 or thereabouts has been approved by the Senate and the Assembly, and last I heard was waiting for the governor's signature.
This is, we found money every month.
A proposal to them, right, that they increase the amount they pay us per month and that it increase yearly based on the receipt value.
29%, I think we get right there.
Did they?
I think it's 29.
I didn't
That's
see
in
they
here,
actually
yeah.
respond to that.
That's the current lease, 29 for, yep.
I have a question there, if I could ask the board. Is the municipality allowed to hold large sums of money for long periods of time? In accounts like this, if it was accepted, the board said, let's take millions.
If it were to the general fund, we're allowed, but we might get a
Slap on the wrist.
reprimand from the comptroller's office. There have been politicians who have campaigned holding up their letter reprimanding their communities for having a surplus. So I don't care what the comptroller says, but we got money in the bank, that's not a bad thing, it's not illegal. They,
Clifton,
comptroller's office, for some reason, wants to make sure that whenever municipalities acquire something, they borrow for it. What would your mother say to a financial planning like that? Right. Well,
so we don't need to take any action on this and we can investigate avenues of
that's correct.
Going forward with handling large sums of money and investing, what our restrictions are investing.
Someone who has knowledge of financial matters. Yes, who does, who's going to do that?
Well, our,
So that we don't meet next time and just sort of talk about things again, but
our auditor, that is the people who are doing our, took over Jane's position, that's what they do. That's one of their main things is investments. So that's where we'll start. And if they say they can't, that's a conflict of interest, they can at least point us in the right direction. That I'll do tomorrow. But do we need to accept the current lease or do anything?
we have held off accepting the current lease, I believe, for 4 months now while we chase the piece of paper. So I'm getting antsy. Crown Point has been, they're aware of what's going on. All our cards have been on the table, both with Everest and with Crown Castle. It would be nice to make a decision at the next meeting.
Next meeting,
Or
okay.
maybe next workshop or.
May I ask a question? Is this,
Privilege of the former mayor, yes.
Is this, need a referendum if you decide on it?
I'm sorry?
Is this, can it go to referendum as a subject to referendum if the board decides that they want to collect, take the $1 billion?
I do not believe this is subject to permissive referendum, and I,
Because I have here, home rule, section 24, of local laws, a change of provision of law relating to the alienation or leasing. of real
alienation or,
property-
Leasing.
Alienation or leasing of real property of the local government. I can, if I can get a petition and get a referendum.
okay, yes, this concerns leasing. I stand correct.
No, what is the reference?
Municipal home rule, section 24, local laws, subject to referendum or petition, on petition.
Now,
They were
The-
holding up Crown Castle.
the lease, no, they'd be buying out the lease. So, yeah,
So, and that may require a referendum, but certainly not continuing our contract.
I'll be happy to get the signatures for you.
now, what may be easier, Madam Mayor,
Yes,
is that if an action of the board is subject to permissive referendum, then the board can simply say, we're gonna hold this on referendum. And I believe that we have done that. It's been the distant past, but that's a lot easier than running around and getting signatures.
and I'd be happy if you did that, but if not, I would be very happy to get the petition.
Are you for this or against this?
I'm against it.
Quick comments. This has been outstanding for a while. We were concerned because it's been outstanding for a while. We want to do a financial analysis. It seems like that would probably take a while. You want to do a referendum. The likelihood that this gets resolved by next meeting is pretty much zero at that point. So is there something we need to do to, rather than signing a 20-year lease, extend the lease for 1 year or something like that, where we can make that.
I think we could go ahead and accept the lease, that I believe has been in final form since April. And the board looked at it and we took sort of a straw poll and everyone approved of it. But then this came in and threw a wrench in the works. I think we can accept that lease. And, then, Everest can always come in and buy out the lease after the fact.
But we're not locked into the term, the length of the lease if we accept it. In other words, if it was to way to our benefit to sell it or sell the lease, would we be breaking the contract with the Crown?
I don't believe so, but I have not reread the Crown lease to look at that particular issue. So if I could have my druthers, are we having a workshop meeting in a couple of weeks, or are we not?
That sounds like we need one.
Okay, let me be sure of that before the board takes a vote on the Crown Castle proposed lease.
I think there's make a quick comment also with regard to CHS, although we're making some tangible progress and they're working on our monthly reconciliations. They seem to be very careful and deliberate about their mantra is take a little longer and do it right. Instead of putting in a number and having to backtrack. It makes me think that they're going to want to do all the reconciliations and get our house in order before they would start making any kind of financial recommendations about how to handle investments and things like that. I think they're gonna want to understand where we are. So I'd be super surprised if they had our reconciliations and things all wrapped up in the next.
All I know is that this has gummed us up. We were making fast progress. Except this option has stepped in and put the brakes on since April.
It might be a fairly straightforward answer to propose that, hey, we have $1 million. What can a municipality do with it? To yield the highest return without touching the capital.
Fair enough.
I mean, we gotta ask them the question, because generally the accounting firms have the accountants and they have the other people who do the financial.
Can I just say something? This is big business. There are brokers out there that buy and sell these towers. If you look at what they're saying, you should be able to get 30 times your annual net income from a tower, which is about $2.4 million if you're going to do it. So I think that, if I were going to do something like this, I would hire a broker to negotiate the best possible deal I can get.
Going the wrong direction.
Well,
Everything we're talking about just means delay, and our.
It sounds like the Crown Castle might be worth approving the Crown Castle contract and then letting this Everest thing play on in the background, get our ducks in a row, because it sounded like Everest, regardless of what we had with the contract with Crown Castle, it sounded like Everest would be buying our ability to lease to Crown Castle. And Crown Castle would still be the lease, or we would be given our right to collect the money from Crown Castle and the subsidiaries, is kind of what it sounded like months ago when this was first approached to us. It seemed like it was two separate entities.
Well, they're saying an offer for Everest to acquire an easement to your land that you own under the cell tower. which is why it matches the language that you read to us, Dixie. So it's not just that they want to be assigned to our right to collect the money.
Well, we could bargain from a position of strength if we had some of the information that we're discussing right now. And let them bid against each other or however they want to do it. But I think we're way ahead of ourselves at this point. I think Tom is looking for us to approve it.
Well, I mean, in what cases we're saying. The agreement with Crown Council is separate from the buyout from Evans. So we can go forward with the agreement with Crown Council, which we already have been working with for years. And they've already agreed to our terms of increasing things, the amount paid and the yearly things, all the things we wanted, they agreed to, basically. And then we can do all the financial modeling and all that other stuff over time and go to a broker or ask around if there's a better deal. Or I believe at one point it was said something like Crown Castle, if we get an offer, would be interested in knowing what that offer is, to see if they can help. So then we can go talk to them again and see if we can even hire. So, I mean, we can solve the current problem. We can address Tom's current concern, which is we don't have the contract. Have the contract, we're set as we have been, while we continue to negotiate and think about those other steps that we take. And it doesn't hurt us in any way.
Yeah, I don't think we're gonna have an answer on the Everest rate anywhere, even within the next 6 months. I think it's going to take a while to get all the information. Can we invest the money? Can we be $1 million plus?
All those things are possible. So that being said, do you kick this can of the Crown Castle contract down the road one more month? Or do we just approve it because we pay for it?
My inclination would be to approve it, because at some point, I mean, at any point, somebody could come in and say, hey, we want to buy this out.
I will point out that on the second page, it says owner recognizes Everest will incur costs and expenses doing due diligence. Owner hereby provides Everest with a 90-day period of exclusivity from the date that this is signed to evaluate and close the transaction contemplated herein. So we're now off into 2025.
But we're
Let's
not,
approve the contract right now.
but we're not signing anything with them.
Yeah, we're not signing anything.
We're binding ourselves to them, then they have 90 days to decide that they want to actually
To Everest,
do this, to Everest.
but we're not doing that tonight.
I hope we're not doing it at all, but no, we wouldn't do that until financial analysis is done and so forth.
We don't have a time limit as far as signing the lease and getting it back to Crown Castle, do we?
I think we may actually be beyond the expiration of the last lease.
Couple years, I think.
Sit here
Okay, but I just didn't know that.
fiddling while
Well, we're gonna risk losing it.
I mean, I guess we could.
I would be happy asking for authorization to sign the Crown Castle contract. And we'll make a motion to do so.
I will.
Second,
Second.
discussion?
I think we discussed it a lot.
Yes.
Non-editorial discussion?
I don't want to confuse.
Tom?
Yes.
Jason?
Yes.
Eric?
Yes.
Yes. All right.
All
I'll
right.
update you on what we find out regarding,
and I will get a final copy from Crown Castle. Get them to sign 2 copies. Send one back to them and we're done.
for now. Next on the agenda is the hose company contract. I will move to accept the agreement between the Round Lake Hose Company #1 Incorporated and Village of Round Lake for the provision of fire protection and emergency services.
Other than the dates, has anything changed?
And the amounts
The amount,
from the town,
okay.
Is that in a form
Sounds-
acceptable to the village attorney?
in a form acceptable, of course, to the village attorney.
So,
Discussion? Tom,
yes,
Jason,
Yes.
Eric?
Yes.
Yes. Ashburn property.
Would you like me to hold forth on this?
Yes, I would.
Okay. Henry Cockburn's father bought a less than 1/10 of an acre parcel on the other side of Ames Avenue, on the east side of Ames Avenue, from the village. The village restricted the property in 3 ways. No buildings could be built thereon, it could only be used for gardening, and it couldn't be transferred to anyone other than back to the village of Round Lake. Mr. Coshburn wants to get rid of all 3 restrictions. The, based on discussions with the board, we have arrived at a, proposed agreement where for $100, we would, provide him with an amendment to that deed whereby we remove the requirement that he could only sell to the village. So he could sell to third parties, but the prohibition on building on that parcel and the restriction to the use of gardening is retained.
so whoever got it would have a vacant piece of property that they could grow a garden on.
Yes.
Okay.
And he has enjoyed it, my understanding is, he has owned it and enjoyed it for decades. With the idea that it's open space and allows a view of the lake from Ames Avenue. And that's what we are trying to preserve. So although he would like to get rid of those last 2 restrictions, we have not agreed to do so. So the question is someone gonna move a resolution authorizing the mayor to execute a deed removing the prohibition on selling to a third party?
Peter?
From the view of the planning board, that parcel could be sold to one of the neighbors, which would then would maybe give somebody enough square footage, 7,000 square feet, that maybe they won't build exactly on that parcel, but they'll build a big house right next to it. If you look at our plan that we put together, actually Tom put together at great length, it talks about keeping the view to the lake. We should, any opportunity we have to acquire any land that gives us that view to the lake, we should.
Yes, we did offer to buy it from him several times over the past 5 years or so, but he's not interested in selling it, so.
He's just interested in getting that one restriction off of it. It's 1/10 of an acre, which is 1,000, no, how many square feet? So it's,
Say 70 square feet?
no, it's 1/10 of an acre,
It's about, what is it, 4,000?
maybe 4,000, but he could get a variance and
Right.
you could build a big garage there.
But the restrictions that we're keeping would
Well, that's
prohibit
true,
for future owner from doing that.
But it doesn't restrict him from selling that parcel to the
Parcels.
neighbor, and we could then combine that with another parcel. and
But the
build a big house.
restrictions would go with the parcel, wouldn't it?
Right, but they wouldn't build on that parcel, that parcel could complete the 7,000 square feet required to build. Yeah,
Could
they
we
would
put
use
it,
that land as to develop a buildable company.
could we take away the restriction that he can only sell to the village? Take that away, but add that parcel cannot be added on to any other parcel. Is that, so that way
I don't think we have the legal authority to require that. But if that parcel cannot be used for anything but gardening, and nothing can be built on it, I think that accomplishes the same thing.
Well, except for the scenario that
Right.
Peter's describing, so as far as we're concerned, we don't do anything, we say no. We're not gonna change it. I mean, he said he doesn't wanna sell it. It's a weird it's a weird statement that I won't sell it to the village of Round Lake, but I want to be able to have the restriction to sell to somebody else, unless there's a game being played. Potentially, to do something else to circumvent some other plan.
Yes.
So,
Trying to sell his house down there, that's what.
yeah, so if we do nothing, then the scenario you're describing or any of the other scenarios, as near as I can tell, doesn't count.
Right.
We don't have to do anything. We say no.
In which case, he would not be able to sell that parcel, correct?
Right, because he can only sell it to us under the current agreement. Right? Under the current,
Under the current
he can
law,
only sell it to
he can
us.
only transfer it to us.
Which, I mean, our goal is to maintain the view of the lake. So we would want it to be transferred to us anyway. So. I would suggest saying no.
We did offer $4,000 to purchase the lot from him, which I believe is the appraisal of that lot.
Yes. I mean, if you wanted to take us up on that, that would be a different discussion.
I feel like Eric feels something like that. Leave it alone, it's vacant. If he wants to take our offer for $4,000, right, $4,000 out of the parkland fund, but that's not a big bite, so, anyway,
It's less than a month's rent.
yeah. So let it, we'll say no. And if he wants to take $4,000, you can come back to us. I'll make that motion.
We need a motion.
Do we need a motion?
Yeah.
What do we need a motion to do now?
I need a motion to accept his offer. And we could make a motion to simply say we're not willing to make any changes, or simply not take any action. If there's no motion on the floor, then it's essentially defeated.
But will that hold him up, or should we make an affirmative statement that the village is not interested in selling that
Right,
right? Be a little more clear cut to him.
okay?
So
Make the motion that
Wait,
we're not interested in selling it. Thank you very much.
It's not selling, it's changing the current.
Yeah, changing the current,
There's no money.
current
involved in
agreement.
this conversation.
So are you moving a resolution to reject his offer, Mr. Coshburn's offer?
yes, exactly.
his request. Do we have a second
Second.
discussion?
Yes.
Yeah,
Oh, yes.
Jason,
Yes.
Eric?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. or no?
Yes, to the no.
On that, if you'd like to come to the board and explain a little more, if the village is offered to buy the property, but yet wants the ability to sell the property.
I brought it up twice and he has, expressed the fact that he's actually no interest in selling that to the village. So I would call him and tell him his offer is rejected, and I believe you have a check for $100 from him. Did that? Oh, he never mailed it, okay.
All righty. Next, on new business,
Under old business, we have the littering and prohibited materials local law. That we had a public hearing on last month.
you are correct.
Didn't move that.
We done it with the two that were held over.
Oh, you are correct. We didn't,
That's what we did last time.
right. So, right, we're getting better. First one, motion, littering, whereas the village board of the village of Round Lake proposes to amend section 125-1 of chapter 125 to include noxious plants. And whereas the board of trustees of the village of Round Lake has designated the proposed action as a type 2 action pursuant to the State Environmental Quality Review Act. And whereas a public hearing on the proposed amendment was held July 17th, 2024, at which time all persons desiring to be heard were in fact heard. Now therefore it is resolved that the Board of Trustees of the Village of Round Lake adopts the proposed amendments and directs the town clerk to file the amendments with the New York Secretary of State. Do I have a second?
Second.
Discussion? This is about dumping poison ivy, poison oak, and poison sumac on village property. And actually, I think also disposing of it when the village does pick up. So any further discussion? Tom?
Yes.
Jason?
Yes.
Eric?
Yes.
Yes. Oops. Next, prohibited materials, whereas the village board of the village of Round Lake proposes to amend section 99-2 of chapter 99 to include noxious plants, and whereas the board of trustees of the village of Round Lake has designated the proposed action as a type 2 action pursuant to the State Environmental Quality Review Act, and whereas a public hearing on the proposed amendment was held July 17th, 2024, at which time all persons desiring to be heard were in fact heard. Now therefore it is resolved that the board of trustees of the village of Round Lake adopts the proposed amendment and directs the town clerk to file the amendment with New York Secretary of State. This was an amendment.
You can't burn poison ivy, poison oak, poison sumac.
Thank you. Well said. Discussion or second?
Second.
Discussion?
Literally this week, somebody was burning poison sumac.
Really?
First time I've seen it.
Wow. Let us know when it's happening.
And I couldn't even say anything because we didn't have a law in place.
Got it.
Next time I got them.
And you know, if we hadn't forgot about it last meeting, could have nailed them. Tom?
Yes.
Jason?
Yes.
Yes. Thank you, Mr. Village Attorney.
You're welcome.
Next, we had a request to declare Saturday, September 14th, Bill Ryan Day. So I will make a motion to designate Saturday. So it's the 1-year anniversary of his death, and there will be a small celebration. I will make a motion to designate Saturday, September 14th, Bill Ryan Day, in honor of his service and dedication to the village of Round Lake.
Second.
Discussion? Tom? Jason?
Yes.
Eric?
Yes.
Yes. Another sad one. We had a request to designate the Paper Street, 3rd Street, which currently has no designation except on the map, in honor of Frankie Holloway, who was a village employee who passed away last year, to designate it Frankie Holloway. The Paper Street runs next to his residence between Koval and Fletcher, similar to what we did with Barn Alley. And officially, I think that's called Kavanaugh, but we put up a sign that said Barn Alley for historical reasons. So I will make a motion to do that, designate the Paper Street, currently known as 3rd Street, Frankie Holloway. Do I have a second?
Second.
Discussion?
Oh, we're gonna put a sign up that says something.
Possibly.
I mean, it's HALLO hyphen WAY. Why don't we just say Frankie Holloway? You know, it'd be better.
Or something similar.
I didn't. Well, you could put a statue of him by a little picket bench.
That's true.
Sitting in his table.
That is true.
That's what I think of every time.
It's Round Lake. It's
I know.
part of Round Lake. So,
The beer garden, go.
Bronze one.
pardon?
The bronze one.
Bronze one. Did we have discussion? Was that the discussion?
I guess that's kind of disgusting. I mean, I just see it a little awkward. If you're.
Like, it seems a little,
Yeah, it's
yeah.
like a play on words. It's kind of clever, but it's not too clever. I think if you could probably be a little more clever, I don't know what that would be.
I mean, music clever, I think a job. If
Right,
you're gonna,
right,
if
yeah.
you're going to, if you go to honor somebody, honor them.
In an honorable way.
Right.
Let's take out the hyphen,
Think of that. I,
and then it's Frankie Holloway.
Yes. I'm not super excited by the idea of. putting-
Three words, yes.
Either, is the other thing. Just me
I'm
personally.
sorry, what was that?
I'm not super excited about the idea of putting more street signs up, especially since half our street signs are falling over and look like. Politically correct term.
Really, I haven't noticed that.
He walks like this.
That's quite possible.
Um,
But I mean, if you notice, I mean, they can be straightened up. I mean, I haven't noticed, I mean, they're still holding up fairly well.
I guess.
The only problem I've seen is the one on John Street keeps getting stolen. on New York Ave.
Yeah.
But if you have specific complaints, let us know and we can jack them up. We haven't voted yet. We're still discussing.
Sure.
I'd like to see him honored, and I don't think that's, but I think a little more. You know, yeah, that's less silly. But we haven't even discussed if we're gonna put a sign on it. We're just saying we're gonna designate it on a map as Frankie Holloway. Why don't you say Frankie Holloway Place? Frankie Holloway. You know,
Club.
Louis Armstrong. Whatever street it's from. You know, it's an honorific kind of thing.
So designated in honor of Frankie Holloway with details to be determined.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. I'm okay with that.
Okay,
Somebody's got an idea.
discussion.
About Holloway?
Yeah.
Scott just said it to me, so I'm not, but you could put Frankie Holloway. And if his last letters are W-A-Y, can't you just make the W-A-Y in capital?
Again, we can work out the details.
I agree that maybe the name, but actually putting signs up over there is just another sign that's gonna get hit.
Yeah.
Especially at that location.
Also.
Yeah, because we don't.
You know, that is one of my pet peeves. If we're setting a precedent of honoring past village residents, I'm all for it. I mean, I'm just sick and tired of that argument of, we can't do that because we're setting a precedent. I mean, we're just so used to doing that. I don't think we really give it too much thought. So.
I think it's fairly harmless if you're not doing anything other than designating that 150 feet, 100 feet, whatever it is, of dirt. Go ahead and do it.
Yeah, I'm fine with that too.
Somebody wants to put up a pedestrian, enclosure between Cobble and Fletcher. I mean,
All right, so move to designate Third Street as in honor of Frankie Holloway in a manner to be determined later.
when Danielle comes up with her,
She opened her mouth, she's in charge. All right, okay,
So you said, I'll send you that.
okay, yes,
yes.
yes,
Yes.
yes. Next is
Springfield Garden.
the fire department request for building and demolition fee waivers. I would make a motion to waive the following permit fees: demolition fee of $75 and a permit fee of $75.
On the ground that it is in the public interest.
Of course, on the ground that it is in the public interest and it's the least we can do.
Make that motion.
Second,
Second.
discussion?
Or get them out.
I'm sorry, Eric?
What do they get out?
The old training building.
The Fitch House?
And they, yeah, the garage, and then there'd be a new shed there. Some point in the future.
Not the house.
Not the house, yeah, the house today.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right, yes, okay. Next, we have, oh, we're getting near the end here. Request for extension of water line to Hurley and Wood Road. There is, a little update on this in that the soccer field at the end of Hurley is requesting water. Originally, we thought we would need permission from Clifton Park Water Authority to extend the water line. Turns out that after a meeting that Johnny and Peter had today with our engineer and the owner, they're going to run the water line to a little triangular piece that is actually in the village, so Clifton Park water will not be, our Clifton Park permission will not be required. So that's kind of a moot point, because we're required to run water to village residents, village property owners. There is another request from 99 Wood Road, which does need permission from Clifton Park Water Authority. And it's on their agenda for September 11th. It's a small garage, personal storage, business storage, that he is asking to run a 1 or 2 inch water line from the existing line across the street and at the Cochran residence on Wood Road. He'd have to deal with Clifton Park to go under or cut through the road to get it there. So the village just has to, the board needs to conceptually say whether we want to allow this person to be able to tap into the water line. John, did you want to say anything about it? It's a small water line. What we were talking, my fear would be putting a big, if you were requesting a 6-inch water line, because then it could be used for development further down the road. But this seems to be a very small request.
Understanding it's a bathroom and a sink, basically,
Yeah.
is what it's for. I don't see an issue with it, if that's what the board wants to do. You know, the only thing I would do is get a little more accurate measurement, and fly it by the engineer, make sure he's got adequate water pressure, but not too big of a line where you might have the chlorine residual issue. Like that, which I don't see being an issue.
Now, historically, the Cochran property, we originally served them with water decades ago when the water project came in, the new water lines, we just kind of grandfathered them in.
That was when we went off the reservoir and hooked up with Clifton Park, that was one of the stipulations was to supply those 2 pieces of property with water, because they were originally hooked to the reservoir.
Okay, so,
How much is it gonna cost us to do this?
We're not gonna.
no, we don't, yeah, that's an important thing I forgot to mention.
Okay, it doesn't say that on.
No, it doesn't. The developer is responsible for all costs
We're
associated.
saying let's take our water line to the Cochrans and shoot a smaller line or
Same
whatever,
size,
same
yeah,
size, across the street
and down a little ways.
and
yeah.
down a little ways, because that's all wetland in there, but.
No, he's got the permit. He's got it. It's all
Okay.
cleared out and the drawings, I think I
So
emailed
we're
him.
not, see, here's my thing, we know Wood Road is gonna fall to developers as the years go on. And if Clifton Park isn't gonna supply them with water, or Saratoga County supplying with water, and we're going to supply them with water. That, all that stuff down there is gonna be industrial, of some type.
Yeah.
We should be reviewing our hookup fees and charging industrial hookup fees, when these people start coming online.
If we do it, I would encourage us to use Clifton Park's fees, which are much higher than ours.
Something that may happen in the future is as that land gets developed, Clifton Park has water on the other side, down that street.
Mhm.
So,
On the other end?
yes,
Okay.
there is a chance they're going to run their water down that street once it goes, you know, economical for them because they got the customers. So that, then there's a possibility the line that we have is gonna be no more.
Yeah.
I mean, that's, it depends how rapid they build that property down through there, but I could see it happening.
Yeah,
It's-
but that's not our, I mean, that's his money that he's investing in it.
Right, I'm just saying that, you know, that eventually probably will happen. You know, I could be wrong, it could be 20 years, but if that land gets developed, there's a profit to be made, or customers to be served, they're gonna put a line through there.
I mean, at this point, it's essentially doing this guy a favor.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not, I don't foresee it, turning into any further development, because you're not gonna run a big factory off a little water line like that.
Aren't we premature, considering acting before the CPWA holds its meeting on September 11th?
I mean, conceptual, I mean, we could approve it, and if they disapprove it, then they disapprove it. And we don't do anything because they have the last say.
We don't know what conditions they're going to attach.
How about conceptually? I mean, about 5 years ago, somebody, I think XAR Corporation or something, came and he wanted to put some sort of office building and some other houses just the other side of the farmhouse, and he wanted water from us. And I wasn't in favor of it because I'm not in favor of development coming up that road. But fortunately, CPWA said absolutely not. They wouldn't authorize it, so it never went in.
You know, what you may wanna do is, if he gets the permission from Clifton Park, put a meter pit, get an easement, have a meter pit put right at where he's gonna hook on. Right from that point on, it's his water.
Mhm.
That way we have no, it's the thing,
Right,
it's not ours.
that would be in Cochran's yard?
He'd have to get an easement, no, because it would be on the side of the road, he has whatever Clifton Park, whatever, I don't know what.
Yeah.
Would the meter pit be within Round Lake?
No, it would be, he'd have to go do this all through Clifton Park and get the easement, and we're just okaying the water. And then essentially, then when we do a meter read, you do a meter read at that water, the meter pit. There, so then if there's a issue in Clifton Park, it's not on us, because that's Clifton Park. What's there now is already established, there's an easement, it was.
That's actually a really good idea.
You know, I wouldn't want responsibility for that water line for what? Not doing us anything.
But you couldn't get on it to make the repair you had to.
That's the issue.
Right.
Have him get an easement from Clifton Park or whatever he has to do, make it legal. Get the okay from them, a meter pit. That way it at that point, it transitions to him. It's all on him.
So you're looking for a sense of the board.
A sense of the board. I mean, are we going to say absolutely not, or, yeah?
Let them have it, I mean, at this, but I think we ought to be looking at some of the consequences.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
But conceptually, we're not saying absolutely not, we don't want.
for a bathroom, faucet, toilet.
What water line does he want to hook up to?
The 2-inch black one that caught.
That's the one that,
Clifton Park.
superintendent.
Yes,
We didn't put that in.
no, Clifton Park.
Oh,
And that 2-inch,
so is Clifton Park responsible for that line, if anything?
yeah, They put it in.
Oh, that's a good piece of info.
So it's all.
It's our water. It's our water,
Yeah, it's our water.
but their line,
It comes off our 6 inch where that last 5 years.
yeah.
I think that's gonna have to be looked into, because I don't know if the ownership of it was turned over to the village. They installed it at their cost, but we took it on.
But we supplied the water. They got paid for the water. There's a meter down there.
I think they get it there.
So there's no meter there,
Yeah, they got that, the house there is.
right, to the village. It's our water. But they'd have to look into it, that's what you're gonna have to.
So conceptually, we're okay with the idea, it sounds like this metering thing, we gotta work out. and all
Yeah,
that
there's a
stuff.
lot of,
Yeah,
he's just looking, because he was trying to dig a well, but he couldn't get any well diggers there within a reasonable time frame. So this is an option, so we're not opposed to it, so he can deal with Clifton Park. I told him already that he'd have to talk to Johnny, and his engineer and our engineer and Clifton Park and deal with all that stuff, so. Ours is,
Resolutions on these?
not at the moment. Just they
Just
sent
for
it
your
to us.
your knowledge, especially Jason, he wants to put a 4 inch line, I guess right by Sweet's driveway, going across the little piece of property. He wants to do an irrigation system on the property. That's the beginning, you know. So to me, an irrigation system says no dome. It's
Yes. I've had lots of conversations with him. And for the time being, there's definitely no dome, at least out 5 years. That's as far as a look ahead as we can get, because the dome has been exclusively eliminated from the contract for 5 years. Beyond that, who knows if the field can still be.
Do we have limitations for what people can do with their water?
Excuse me?
Do we have any limitations for what people can do with their water? I mean, most of our water is used for irrigation system, agriculture.
No, they can use it for,
They just pay for it.
yeah, Victoria Landings, Griffin's Bridge. Every house down there's got a sprinkler system on it, whether they use it or not, it's all built in.
When you say irrigation, I think giant farm irrigation.
No, this is for.
I think
It's just like that's a lot of water.
I think.
Yeah, it is a lot.
Yeah.
Victoria
Yeah,
Land,
our system.
Victoria Land irrigation system is the biggest water user in the village.
Yeah, right, but if you're gonna be irrigating multiple soccer fields, that's a lot of water.
That is a lot.
And I don't.
That's not a bad thing for the village.
Especially out at the periphery there.
Yes.
Okay, got it.
The turnover in the water tower, the more turnover you have at this point, because of all the rest, the better.
Okay.
I was gonna say, wouldn't that help out with all those
It would.
things?
Yes.
Alrighty, so next is appoint a planning board member. I am going to appoint Heidi Stencil, a 25-year veteran of the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers, biologist with them, to the planning board to fill Lance Spalholtz's term. First Stencil is back there. This is her, thank you for volunteering. This is her second stint in the village. Lived in the house by next to the mill for a while. Then left for a bit and then found another house in the village, right on Peck Ave. Right there. Welcome back and thank you.
This may be the first time that a municipality has ever welcomed the Army Corps of Engineers.
Yeah, right?
Peck Ave on the corner?
I'd like to, I'd like to make sure this is said, I'd like to look up what the superintendent said, my father, because if he's right, this is good knowledge.
Well, what they did was, they put the line in and they said, they asked us first if we would supply, and we said yes. And they said they were gonna run their own line eventually down that road.
I'd like to see,
down
I'd
Wood Road.
like to see, and I'd like somebody to look this up and see if it's in the records, because it makes a lot of difference.
Yeah,
Who's responsible for that water,
Any idea of the time frame?
if it's in writing or not.
Steve, you know when that may have happened around?
Yeah, we put that main in 79, I think.
Right, but the connection was.
79?
I was here at 55.
Right, but the transition was done when we got off the reservoir line, so the date's right there. What year exactly, I don't know, but it's in there.
Yeah. But I think they did it in the early 90s, or the late 80s. Mid-80s.
The Clifton Park Water Authority might maintain those lines,
Just the one.
just or lump that line.
It would have been, yeah, like I said, you look it up, it would have been when we went off the reservoir line. And hooked up to Clifton Park.
Yeah, because that house was hooked up to the reservoir line, it was well worth it.
Then it would just be a Clifton Park Water Authority extension. Off of their existing.
It would just be good knowledge.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Do we need to,
It's in there.
you just appoint, there's no resolution needed on that,
I
right?
believe that is correct for a replacement.
Right. Just making sure.
Next, the Victorian Landing Gateway Project. The Victorian Landing, Landscaping Committee is requesting up to 3,000, is that correct, Paula? That's, okay, from the Conservation Fund for improvements at the historic Round Lake sign at the roundabout. Maintenance will be by the Victorian Landing Landscaping Committee members. On the screen is a kind of a mock-up of what they're looking like, this has been a concern for years and years. When you go up the roundabout, it's a pretty ugly roundabout as opposed to the next roundabout that has this beautiful purple sage up there and very nice landscaping. So it would be nice to do something. Let me see.
You're not doing it in the roundabout, you're doing it.
No, yeah, this is, yeah, doing it in the roundabout, it's too small and it's all paved. Where is it? They did a very thorough study. Where is it? Okay, that's what it is now. It's pretty nicely maintained. Thank you, John. And I think John actually weed whacked before this, but it's pretty plain looking. And it would spruce up the entrance to the village with, and these are, samples of some of the plants that they're looking at doing. And Paula, did you want to say anything more?
Actually, this is Marty Rutgers,
Oh.
the chairperson of
Oh.
the committee.
I'm just telling you, my committee has worked a long time and really hard on this proposal. And we've got everything that's drought resistant, so that we don't have to worry about watering. We tried to get things that we didn't have to put a lot of maintenance in, so they kind of maintain themselves, so. And everything's been thoroughly researched and thought of.
Native plants, we worked with the tree committee,
Right.
they're all native plants.
Yeah, and anything that wasn't allowed, of course, we didn't put in there, yeah, so I don't know what else to say.
No,
But, they're willing, they're ready, and you
Yeah.
guys got people who were willing to help, and
Yeah.
you should take advantage of that.
My concern was maintenance because the village crew doesn't really maintain the gardens, and you answered that question, so they don't do flowers. Yeah. But I don't know if a motion is required to spend money that's already been allocated for this purpose.
We
Which
should
is,
applaud the effort.
oh,
Yeah. bless it.
So I have a question.
yes.
What about the other set of the ones down by you also take on the back?
Diane,
Yeah.
Yeah. The other is not the other. The east side.
Yeah, you've got your, ladies.
Gardening, yeah,
Takes
yeah.
care of that, yeah, so that's all taken care of. over
It's
there.
not quite as extensive as this, but it's also
So, Yeah, and they're.
much less traffic, I
supportive,
think.
and Orleans is very supportive. You know, we haven't heard anybody who's had any complaints at all.
And they're reaching out to Terry Warner, and they're looking to get another matching sign, and they're going to try to clean up the one on the right. If not, they're working on getting a new sign.
I think we have it's a historic Round Lake sign, right? So I think we have a village historian who may be interested in working on that. It's another, another sign that needs painting.
As well as the others are.
Yeah, it's faded, you can see.
Yeah.
Maybe, I mean.
Some gold leaf paint or
I was
something.
gonna wait for the public comment, but we've already had, we've had residents, talking about the historical markers that we have in the village that are peeling and not looking too well, so. Gary had actually sent out a letter to the historian in Saratoga County historian, or Malta County, Malta Town, and to find out who's responsible for that, and it's actually on the community. If they care of that, they give you the actual, Rust-Oleum paint number that you can go by, and it gives you actually directions on how to paint these things, so. I was actually gonna ask the village, because I've already taken that upon myself. My daughter was actually a painter, so that's what she does for a living, so, to be able to remove these signs off and do it. So, I mean, I don't know if I need any kind of an action from the village, but, they say it's better off to paint them while they're up, but I just think it'd be a lot easier. It's just an Allen wrench. I know they're really heavy.
Yeah.
But, for permission to pull them off at some time, I'm ready to paint them. It's basically, you know, get them down, get them done, and then put them all back up again. So I'm willing to do that as long as it's okay with the village to remove them. Oh, but obviously I'll let them know I'm gonna do it, or get somebody to assist us.
Yes, I would recommend
You could always
assistance.
look into the other sign too.
Ready, so we're okay with that? Okay, thank you. Thank you, Margie. Next on,
Can I just? Tell me to go away. This is sad. You got two roundabouts beyond, to the west of the north, two
wait, to the
that
west.
have been, fixed up.
Mhm.
And as I recall, that was as a result of the community up there. I know it was controversial when they were planning those roundabouts. But down here and roundabout over on
Route 9.
bypass, and I think the next one up is this junky looking roundabout. So is it up to the individual communities or neighborhoods, or what's the state say?
I don't think, the village didn't have much to say about the construction of the roundabout, did we?
I think they do. I think the roundabouts here are designed for tractor trailers.
Right.
To run up onto the.
Yeah.
Onto the roundabout. The same thing with the one over on Route 9 and 67.
So are the ones
On-
up by Mount Donuts,
Yeah.
on the west side, because the tractor trailers run over it all the time. It's actually laid out the exact same way, which is there's an inner circle and there's the outer.
It just seems much bigger. Really?
I actually had a question for the chief, though. If we ever got around to, in the community thing, decorating like you did the roundabouts up onto the west, would that impact the firehouse in any way, like block your view or anything? Not to my knowledge. I was just wondering if it had something to do with the fire department being there and not being able to see it, clearly see it.
That's where you do the trucks that drive over. Very quiet church and end up halfway over the.
I get that. The circles are the exact same. Because I've been asked this question years ago in the chat. All the circles are the exact, all three of those circles are the exact same size.
One in the village, one is coming down next to the firehouse, it's small.
Well, we can,
It's not, at least they, it's not.
another project for tomorrow. Walk there with a measuring tape. I think a few years back, Kim got in touch with DOT asking if we could do something to make it look better. And they basically said, no, you can't,
Why?
leave it alone.
Everybody else can.
Why? I don't know.
Right, fair enough.
Another generation will figure that out.
There's a little bit of a controversy now about
because some projects, including some of the DOT, you know, they wanna make medians and cul-de-sacs and things for rotaries look good. So they'll plant vegetation with pretty flowers, you've probably seen it. But all that does sometimes is result in one kill because it creates wildlife habitat. Like median, so insects and pollinators, and so if you think of a way to decorate stuff, try and keep that in mind and not, you don't wanna create wildlife, attract wildlife to that area. One of the ways art for.
Big sculpture.
How about the bell tower?
Yeah.
Nice. Yes.
Yeah.
Now you're talking. Get a crane, put it up there. Right.
Tom Bergen injury tower.
Tom, you can put a rocking chair in there and just wave to everybody. They're coming. Oh, all right. Correspondence. Do we have any correspondence?
No.
Already approval of the July 17th, 2024 minutes.
So move.
Second.
Discussion? Were we all here for them?
I think
Matt was not, so I think we were all here, right? All right. Tom?
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
Eric?
Yes.
Yes. Approval of abstract.
I got you. Treasurer has approved the August abstract for, which includes July prepaid invoices and August claims. A fund is the general fund, 98,723.39. The F fund, water, $2,715.17, and the G fund, sewer, $810.88, for a grand total of 102,249.44.
Second.
Discussion? Tom?
Yes.
Jason?
Yes.
Eric?
Yes.
Yes. Mr. Village Attorney,
Nothing.
the mayor is all talked out. Trustees?